Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to show you how to set up a game of role player, but for the expansion Monsters and Minions. I just barely made a video where I showed how to merge these two boxes into one box, so I'm going to be kind of getting rid of this, but yes, we are setting up the expansion. So just a heads up there. The other two things that I wanted to point out before I set up is that I'm going to be doing a solo playthrough. I did a two-player playthrough of the base game. I just barely posted that yesterday. And so if you're interested in seeing how multiple people play, you can actually get that in these videos as well. The setup is it's minuscule, the changes, and I'll make sure to point that out as we go. And same with the gameplay video. I just wanted to show a solo video, but also when I did my two-player game, just the puzzliness and trying to keep track of two characters kind of made my brain melt. And I was imagining doing two characters with this puzzle and also managing, the monsters and the minions. And I thought that might be a little too tricky. So I am going to be setting up for a solo player. But again, I'll point out the differences. It's minor. The other thing that I wanted to say is, well, here, let's talk about the rule books really fast. So now we have two rule books, and they're fine rule books or whatever. But one thing that's been kind of frustrating for me was going through this rule book. I don't know that this is really a complaint, but something that I noticed is that it just tells you the differences when you're setting up the expansion, rather than just taking you through the setup process in general. And since there's a lot to set up, I kind of found myself having to keep both books open as I was working my way through. Oh, I forgot to mute my phone. I did not win the lottery for Hamilton in Salt Lake. Okay. Anyway, I was struggling to keep things together. And so what I've done is I went ahead and typed up a player aid it is purely for the setup. And so on one side you have just the base setup for two or more players. And then what I did is I just merged all of the information onto one sheet because this didn't have it. This doesn't have setup on the back of the expansion or anything like that. And so you don't have to flip back and forth, or so I don't have to. I don't care what you do. I went ahead and just printed a base game setup on this side, and then a Monsters and Minions setup on this side. And then, because we're doing a solo game, and once again, for the solo variant, it just says, hey, make these changes. And I get it, that seems normal. But if you're doing the solo version of the Monsters and Minions, you're having to reference both this regular setup and the solo setup and this regular setup, and it was just too much for me. And so on the inside, I have the solo versions. So if you wanted to play the base game solo, there's a setup guide there, and if you wanted to play the Monsters and Minions version solo, you have that setup here. So this is just a general setup guide where you can just choose which side is best for you. I'm going to be uploading this to BGG, and I'll put a link for that on the description of this video. So if you're interested in getting one of these, feel free to download it. It's not pretty. I just made it this morning right before playing because I was getting flustered looking at all of that. So I'm going to keep this nearby. I'm going to go ahead and move the rule books out of the way. And first thing I want to do is we're going to pick our character. So I think just looking at the artwork, I thought that the Construct looked the coolest. So I'm going to be playing the Construct. And I'm going to stick with, I like blue more. I think this is the female Construct. Are there male and female Constructs? I don't know. It's blue, so I like it the best. So that's the one that I'm going to be sticking with. All right. So I tried to take all of the setup rules, and obviously to fit it into one place, I had to do a lot of summarizing. But essentially, it's telling you, hey, you need to take your character sheet. We've got to pick a class, a backstory, alignment, and get a player aid. So if you watched my box merging video, I have a deck of cards here. This is basically our setup cards. And so everything in here is required for setup, and what we don't use will just end up back in here as well. Now, we're going to start with our initiative cards. The initiative cards are just chosen for two-player games. So I have this listed down here. Where did I put it? Oh, 3 initiative cards with a coin in the middle. That's the same as a two-player. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, like I had just barely done before. All right, so we're done with those initiatives. I'm just going to keep these here and put things back in as needed. Now, normally I would just say that I'm going to play blue, but since blue has different characteristics and I already played with blue last time, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these and I'm going to shuffle it and just pick one at random. You can't see this, but my eyes are closed. I don't know what's happening. And I'm going to cut it in half and take the top one. All right, so I'm going to take this one. Now, the expansion included a second, like there are 2 blue cards now and 2 green cards. And so there are 4 green classes and 4 red classes and all of that stuff all together. If this was a multiplayer game, this is also how I would randomize this, but just be aware that you can only ever have 1 of each color in a game. Obviously, that's not an issue with the solo game, but if you were playing two players, you couldn't have both of you being a blue class. You need to have different colors. So that's just something to be aware of. But now we're done with that, and I'll put it back into my holder. Next up is we need to pick a backstory. So I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle these. Hopefully I get an expansion backstory. I should have kept them separate maybe for picking, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and shuffle these up. And take one from the middle. Perfect. Oh, this is pretty cool. This is like almost like the movie AI. We have a construct who is a paladin and he's devoted. Okay, sweet. So we're done with these. I'm going to put them back in. It would be so cool if I could fit the alignment cards into this box, but I just couldn't make it work. All right, so we're going to take our alignment. In fact, rather than even just shuffling and grabbing, I'm just going to put my fingers in here, pick one. That's the one I'm using. Ooh, a defender. Wow, this is very like a very moral, fun thing happening. Okay, we are done with the things that we need for our character. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in here. The next thing that we need to do is we need to make the market deck. So looking at the market deck, I went ahead and just merged all of these all together. But when you're playing solo, you need to remove a couple of cards. If we were playing just the base game solo, we would just need to find the card Diplomacy and take that out. That's in the base deck. We need to take out Diplomacy and Spellbook and Energy Field. I probably should have put how many dots there were because I'm guessing a lot of people would keep the dots sorted. But let's just go ahead and take a quick look. I'm looking for Diplomacy, Spellbook, and Energy Field. And again, if this was a multiplayer game, you would not need to do this. Open lock shield. Wait. I have to remember. Diplomacy, Spellbook, Energy Field. Did I see it? I'm going to have to stop talking for a second. Protection. Search, levitate. No. Energy Field. Found one. Okay. And then focus. No. Okay, we're good there. So that was a 2-daughter Energy Field, and it says immediately gain 1 gold for each armor card all the other players have, which is why you need to take it out for solo play. So now that I've removed it, I'm just going to give this a shuffle. And let's look for the other 2. So Spellbook and Diplomacy need to come out of here. Spellbook, which we'll have to do with other people too. When another player looks at an adventure card, gain an experience point. So you don't even have to take these out if you don't want to spend the time. If they just come up and you see it, you could just say, here, I'm going to take it out now. Diplomacy. Did I miss it? No, courageous. It might have been in the other deck and I went over it. Sorry, super fun. Super fun to watch me going through this deck. Yeah, okay, hold on. Let's just make sure, I guess before I shuffle. Diplomacy, where are you? Yeah, no, yes. No. Diplomacy. Okay, got it. All right, so probably before I don't know how to add those dots. We'll see. I'll see if I can add the dots from onto the player aid. That would be a good thing. Okay, cool. Cut it in half. There we go. Shuffle. All right. So here we go. Again, I'm just following this guide that I've made for myself. We removed those cards. We've added in the expansion cards. They're in there. We sorted into 1 and 2 dot piles. We have shuffled each. And now we need to discard 6 cards from each pile. We're going to place the 1 dots on top of the 2 dots and then place 4 market cards face up. That's a slight difference than the base game. The base game is 3. This one is going to be 4. And of course, if you're playing with multiple people, I have numbers listed here in case you care. All right, and then we're going to reveal the top card. This is kind of unique. We need to make a trash pile. There's a trash pile in the solo game that is not in the other games. So these cards are coming out. I'll just put them in here. And that was a mistake that I actually made in the regular video in the base game, is that when you take these cards out, you should discard them rather than putting them back in the box. You should form a discard pile. But for now, let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And these go in the discard pile. And the reason why they go in the discard pile rather than in the box is that there are some cards that you can look through the discard pile. So this is our 1 dots, our 2 dots. Here's our discard pile. It's a big one. And, oh, I can't remember. That was 1 dot. So 1 dot on top of 2 dots, like this. And we're going to be making, this goes here, that goes there. Here's our discard. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need to take the top card and make a trash pile. I'm going to put it next to the discard pile, and I have a way to distinguish what that is. Okay. Now, in this bag, in case you didn't watch my box merging, there are some dice in here that are different than what you're used to from the base game. Let me see if I can find, oh, here it is. These are called boost dice, and they're unique in that they're clear, and also they go from 3 to 8 rather than from 1 to 6. So in my last video, there were some issues where I didn't think that my characters were going to be able to achieve their attributes the way that I wanted them to. These boost dice help with that. So we've got our bag of dice here. I think I've got the market set up. We're going to set up monsters here in just a second. But let's go ahead and set up our character. We've got our character's devoted. He's a construct, right? A defender, if you will. And let's see what it says here. Your only son has been stricken with a grave illness. You have set out with the intent of doing everything in your power to save the life of your boy, which we could also say bot. That font is a little bit weird, but all right, we've got that there. Now, also in the last video, I totally neglected these special abilities. So let's take a look at what we want. Oh, this flips this way. We could either be a paladin who is vigilant. If your alignment marker is on the 3 space at the start of a round, we can gain a gold. Ooh, I like that. I usually aim for that anyway. Or we could be a charitable cleric. Once per round, you may pay 2 gold to take a wisdom action, wisdom attribute action, which is to move that thing around. I like that too. Let's have our construct be a paladin, a devoted paladin. Not a lot of like crazy mismatching happening in this one like we did in the last one, but he's going to be a defending, devoted paladin construct. I like that a lot. Okay. Now, let's grab a couple more things. We're going to have our minions out. We're done with our alignment. Going to need some coins. So I am going to use metal coins this time. I know it doesn't read as well on camera, but man, I love metal coins. So we're going to keep our metal coins here, like that. This is to track who's the first player rather than passing the bag. I don't need that, so I'm just going to keep that in the box. This is just end of game fun if you want to record how your character looks at the end of the game. That's a fun thing to do. And then I'm just going to go ahead and open this up, and we're going to keep all of our tokens out. So I'm going to put it up here. I know it's a little off camera. We're going to get 1 or 2 white cubes from here for our character. That one goes there. This goes in the middle. And then I mentioned in my box merging video that these are supposed to be thrown away, but I kept one of them because it will distinguish our trash pile. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this right above the trash pile, and that way I can remember the difference between my trash pile and the discard pile. Okay, now we're going to set up our monster. we need to pick one monster, and it cannot be a matching color. So we are white, so that must mean that we cannot play with the vampire. So the vampire's out. From these, I just need to pick one at random. I'm not looking. Okay, we're gonna, oh, those are player aids. We will not pick the player aids to fight. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the dragon. All right, our construct is gonna go up against a dragon. Really quickly, before I throw these back in, let me grab a player aid, and I'm gonna pick 2 of these gold helpers. We'll just have one upside down and one right side up. Okay, there's that. All right, so far everything has been pretty standard to the base game, even with multiplayer. You pick your character, you set up your market, all of that good stuff. Here's where things get a little bit different. So we're gonna pick a 1-player monster. So we have chosen the dragon, and if we look at the dragon, there are 2 different cards. There's a 1-player card and a 2+ player card. We are playing solo, so we're just gonna have the dragon out like that. Next up, we need to pick 1 location, 1 obstacle, and 1 attack card. So the dragon comes with 3 locations, 3 obstacles, and 3 attack cards. We just need to pick 1 of each. So we're just gonna randomly pick 1 of each, and here's our attack card, and you just put them face down next to your monster. So same thing for our obstacle. We're gonna pick that one, put it face down, and our location. Ooh. Pick that one, face down. Everything else goes back in the bag and back in the box. Next up, oh, I just realized I forgot to grab my 5 gold. I really had, there are steps on these other ones, but I really had to make space, and so I've had to put the gold on its own space. Here we go. 5 gold for our starting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's kind of nice. I was gonna cut out a colored paper to match my color, but I could just use the tablecloth. Ah, neat. Okay. Now, we have a deck of Minion cards, and the Minion cards are a little tiny bit like the Markets deck, in that there are 1 dot and 2 dots. So I can't remember if I sorted, no, I did not sort these out. So let me just really quickly sort out the 1 dots and the 2 dots. 1, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All right, so 1 dots and 2 dots. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take the 2 dots and shuffle them. And then they are going to go on the bottom of the deck. And then we're going to take the 1 dots and shuffle them. And we're going to remove some. Now, if I remember correctly, in a multiplayer game, you remove different numbers. No, I think you always remove 7. All right, so we're just gonna shuffle these up. We're gonna remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that. Okay, cool. And then these are gonna go in here. Okay, now I think we have everything out of the box that we needed out of the box. I'm just gonna go ahead, place this all here. Got my rule books, get those out of the way. And so that we can go ahead and just dive right into the gameplay, because I did talk about starting dice in the base game video. I'm going to need to adjust a little bit. Let me pull the camera back just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. What we are going to do is let's go ahead and start with, let's get our starting dice into place. So taking a look here, we are starting, I think, with 6 random dice, yes. So I'm going to reach into the bag, and I'm going to pull out 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're starting off with 6 dice, and as per usual, when you draw a gold die, and it will talk about this over here in this aid, anytime you take a gold die, you're going to get 2 gold back. So let me just grab 2 gold. There's my monies. Okay, and now we've got our dice. I'm going to go ahead and roll them. And let's decide where we're placing these. Oops, that was a 3. Holy Yahtzee. That's crazy, weird, and crazy. Okay, cool. Well, my very first thought, taking a look here as a paladin, what was I going to say? We need to make sure that our strength and our construct are at 17 exactly in order for us to get 3 stars. That's cool. It's also cool that did I call it construct? That's left over from the base game. Constitution. We have +2 constitution, so I need these to be 15. I need that to be 17. My wisdom, I'm going to lose 1 on wisdom and lose 1 on charisma for being a construct, which makes sense. I'm going to take this white die and put it here on intelligence. I need my intelligence 14 plus, so I don't need huge numbers down here, but I do need a white die down there. It's kind of unfortunate because red and purple, which I've got here, are needing to go into these places, and we're going to have to, you always have to put on the leftmost space. This boost die, a 3 is the lowest number actually, and then there's an 8 on the other side. So that doesn't have any color associated with it at all. It's just a blank, non-color thing. Geez, it doesn't seem like I have many options here. So my thought is, what if I just put strength here, and I just go straight down with 3s all along the way? Because I don't know what else I would do with any of those. Sure, let's try that. That's a good way to start. Might as well. Okay, I think that we are ready to play the game. We've got all of this taken care of. Oh, last thing that I forgot to do, if I was following my guide I would have done better, is to take the top minion card and flip it face up, and it's going to be something that we have an opportunity to face that can get us some other tokens that we'll talk about soon. So, yep, take a look here. We just set up the Monsters and Minions expansion for Role Player. Let's go ahead and start playing. If you want to watch the gameplay video, click on the description of that in the link. What am I saying? Click on the link for that in the description of this video, whatever. I'll see you guys there. Okay, bye.